say that you don't respond to name calling at all, except maybe to ask questions if it's not done in a hostile way. But if it's done in a hostile way, it's best not to say anything. And that's any kind of name. Any name that you're called. You're not accepting the name calling. You heard it. You're listening to it. But that doesn't say that it means anything. It only means something if you decide that you're going to let it mean something. And I do use the word let, because the person who is calling you the name is also jockeying for position to call the rest of the shots. And either way that will go, the non-white person will probably lose one way or another, because in a system of white supremacy, the deck is stacked. So the basic philosophy is, the basic concept is, anybody can call any person a name who is classified as non-white, black, brown, red, yellow, that's non-white, anywhere at any time, and you're not even supposed to budge on account of the name calling, as far as responding in a retaliatory manner. Not verbally and not physically. Any name that is called you should not bother you in the least, at any time, at any place, under any circumstance. Doesn't make any difference who's calling the names. It should absolutely not bother you, and you should not respond. Why? For a very logical reason. They're doing it to get a response. And since you did not initiate the show, you don't buy into somebody else's show, particularly when you don't know in advance how it's all going to end. And when I say all, I mean all down from, forever, as of that moment. Might wind up in gunfire and all like that, and you don't know which way that might go. And either way it goes, it means that you have walked into something of someone else's making. The person who calls you a name, that's their setup. Don't walk into somebody else's setup. Always have plans of your own. For the next 5 minutes, for the next day, rest of the day, and for the next weeks and months and years to come. And don't get pulled off your horse, to use a slang expression, by somebody's name calling. And you're left standing in the road and your horse has run off. And you realize at some point, how did I get drawn into that? Because always, without exception, you're being drawn into something that is not a plan of your own. Always have a plan of your own. And part of that plan is you absolutely, under no circumstances, respond in a counter manner to name calling. Meaning, in a practical sense, anybody, anywhere, for any reason, can jump up and call you any bunch of names that they want to call you, in public or elsewhere. And you are not supposed to move a muscle. Not because you're traumatized, but because you're not paying any attention to it other than you just heard it. But it's supposed to mean absolutely nothing to you, no matter what the names are. Even if some of the names refer to people who are, you might think, or consider to be near and dear to you. Mother, sister, cousin, son, daughter. And you pass that word on to them. Why? Because it's functional. And it works for you. Doesn't work against you. Responding in a non-predictable manner. And I say it's non-predictable because unless you can predict the total outcome of everything that's going to happen as a result, particularly if there's going to be an altercation. If you say, get it in your head, I'm not allowing anybody to call me that. I'm going to retaliate, and I'm going to retaliate either right now or I'm going to retaliate later. Then you better start thinking about you're ready to kill, ready to die, and all of the consequences that go with that. Ready to kill, ready to die, ready to be locked up forever, ready for everything that you didn't plan for, if you respond in that manner. You should have it in your mind that this is your last day on earth, or, if not today, somewhere down the road, or, because of this, locked up in the greater confinement, thinking it over down through the years. Now, suppose I had handled that differently by simply not letting someone else dominate that little part of power that I do have. And that is to pay no attention to what was said other than I know that it was said. That's the only attention that it really warrants. It doesn't warrant anything else. It doesn't call for anything else. But you can always take note of things that happen around you, because that's something that happens around you. It has nothing to do with you directly unless you decide that it has something to do with you. But even when you make that decision that it has something to do with you, you're actually saying to everybody around, including the person who is doing the name calling, that they are in control of your destiny just by calling you a name. Now you have decided you have to respond to their agenda. If you're going to be heading toward universal man and universal woman, you should have your own agenda and not be wired to respond in a way that's going to be harmful to you ultimately, to everything that's going on around you each and every day forever. You're being jerked around and don't even know it. Get out of that mode.
Context of white supremacy. If you're interested in dialing in, the number is 760-569-7676, and the code is 564.